So, why are estate agents' fees so expensive in France? Well, my name's Dan Newton. I've been in real estate in France for 35 years and hopefully I have an answer for you. So there's been a lot of talk about this subject and unfortunately not all the details are quite right. Some people are stretching the truth to their advantage. I'm not saying that fees in France are cheaper than they are in England. Unfortunately, it is not the case. But whereas some people are actually saying that fees are, say, 8 to 15%, that is incorrect. Average fees in France for an estate agency are usually between 5 and 9%, or into the lower half than the higher. Admittedly, there's some areas in France where the fees are a bit higher. For example, around the Dordogne area, they tend to be on the higher side, whereas, for example, Brittany tends to be on the lower side. After that, why are the fees so expensive in France? Well, there's actually three reasons, or let's say two and a half. The half reason being the actual standard prices in France. Whereas in England, the standard house price is €324,000, the actual average price in France is €91,000. So obviously you would need to sell like 3 times more to actually get the same amount of fees. Saying that, like I said, it's a half truth, doesn't really come into calculation, but the fact is there and does play on the total turnover of an agency. Then secondly, you actually have the fact that unlike the UK, a French estate agent is a fully licensed professional. I believe it's closer to the Scottish system, where we are closer to solicitors than we are to estate agents, put it that way. In the sense of we have to have legal guarantees for everything we put forward when we sign official paperwork with the vendors, with the purchasers, whatever. All that needs to be guaranteed. We actually have a legal status here in France, unlike England, where obviously not knocking them, but basically they are just there to do the advertising. We are here to do the advertising and the legal side as well, in conjunction with the notary obviously, but we are there and we need to guarantee our actual legal advice. So in order to guarantee the legal advice, we need to have hefty insurance, and well, that all adds up to the actual running costs of the agency and thus the fees we have to charge. And last but not least, in France, the actual social charges and taxes are the highest in Europe. Whereas in England, I believe social charges are 24%, over here we're more like 47%, so twice as much social charges. Okay, you might argue, so 23% more expensive, just take 23% off the fees, but will still be more expensive. No, it doesn't quite work that way. It's not just the social charges and taxes that we pay as a business in France, there's also the fact that every intermediary we use will be charging that percentage on top as well. To give you an example, Rightmove charge £500 for about 400 properties on their website per month. Sologer, which is the French equivalent of Rightmove, they're on about €3,000 per month. If you add on to that factor that in France there are a lot more property portals than there are in England. In England it's basically Rightmove and Zoopla, and that's as far as it goes. After that, obviously individual agencies, but we're not talking about those. In France, I'd say there's about 10 main ones and probably 100 lesser ones. So all that adds up, and all that needs to be taken into account into the global fee we charge for the house. So there you have it. Why are French agency fees more expensive? Well, basically because unfortunately business in France is more expensive. So it's not so much agents cheating you, it's just the way it is. So it's basically a different lifestyle, different legal system, and that is why agency fees are more expensive here than in England. Hope that's answered the questions for you. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.